me to introduce myself. My name is Erin. I'm the current Appropriations Chair for SGA, and this is...
I'm Gabby. I'm the Comptroller.
Yeah, so we are like the head of the Appropriations Committee. Hopefully you guys kind of know what Appropriations is, but just to give you like a little more background. It's composed of Gabby, myself, and then a couple other senators who are also here, like sprinkled out throughout the crowd. And we are responsible for allocating SGA funds to student-run organizations. And our meetings are every Tuesday at 6:15 p.m. in the Center for Student Collaboration, which is in the Student Center, room 242. So what we do two major things. We have our weekly meetings, which I just told you about, and that's where the clubs sign up on Get Involved HU, and then they come to our meeting. And these meetings are typically for things that you didn't get during budget weekend, or that you forgot, or any last minute things like travel fees, or there's a surprise event coming and you really want to put it on. And then the second thing we do is budget weekend, which is where all clubs and organizations submit a budget for the upcoming semester. So this fall you will be submitting one for spring 2017. And it gives all the clubs a chance to plan ahead and get everything together, and helps us provide them money for things that they know they can put on, and things that maybe they need to wait a little bit for. And yeah, so it provides a working out for the semester to help them prepare.
And I just want to say that so we allocate about 15 to 20% of our funds during weekly appropriations meetings, and we allocate 80 to 85% during budget weekend. So although funding isn't guaranteed, you're more likely to receive funding during budget weekend just because we have more to give.
So don't rely on a weekly meeting to get all of your funding.
Okay, so we actually request that you guys request what you need on these appropriations official forms. So they're actually in the treasurer's packet. Raise your hand if you have the treasurer's packet. Okay, we will send that out. So thank you for writing down your emails and information. So we'll send that out. But anyway, these are the official forms. So this right here is called the cover sheet. So this is basically, I like to call it the table of contents, where you list everything you need. So for example, t-shirts right here, amount requested here, recruitment, amount requested here. So again, it's kind of like a table of contents, and then you put the total amount that you are requesting, and then for each event or item, you have a separate sheet, which is the event item request form, which I like to call the chapters of the book, detailing exactly what you're requesting. So here, the name of the event / item, date and time of the event, of course if it is an event, location of event, if it's approved, yes or no, and we would really like the location, the actual room number. And then co-sponsorships, this isn't mandatory, but if you are co-sponsoring with another club, we'd like to know, just so we can fund appropriately for each club. And then we have the description of the event, which is required. So the Appropriations Committee will not fund money for any event or item if you don't provide a description. If we don't understand why you are requesting something, then we will not fund it. And here, there is a breakdown. So you would list every item that you need, the quantity, plus the cost per item, and then the total cost. So we just broke it down by columns. Wait, if you want to add anything.
And well, so with this, this is just the outline of it. So within it, you also have to have quotes, and we'll get into quotes a little bit later. But a quote is a screenshot. So if you of the website. So if you are a sports team and you're getting soccer balls and you want to get soccer balls from Amazon, you would go on Amazon and then take a screenshot of the soccer balls with the price saying it's from Amazon and attach it behind the chapter. So it's within the chapter. That way we know that there's an actual price for it, that you're not just coming up with $300 for a soccer ball. We know that there's an actual market value for it.
Yeah. I have a question about websites.
Yeah.
Are we gonna start lending clubs credit cards essentially for online stuff? Because if we can't actually afford it on our own budget, I know we would be reimbursed, but what if we personally don't have the funds to start it?
Right, so right now, I think the only option is to use a purchasing card from one of the advisors in OSLE.
So they exist?
So it's not per club, but it's
Okay.
for the advisors
Okay.
because they're like full-time employees who have a credit card. But yeah, what club are you with?
African Student Association, and she's the first.
Okay, so for example, for She's the First, if you want to buy $300 worth of like baking supplies, you could use that purchasing card to
Okay.
buy that. But right now, they can't put food vendors on the purchasing cards, if that makes sense. So like for African Student Association, if you want to get off-campus food for like your fashion show, for example, the purchasing card won't cover that. But I would talk to Jillian, your advisor.
What about like things from Amazon?
Yeah, the purchasing card would cover that.
Okay.
But I would definitely talk to Jillian
Talk to
about the
Jillian?
logistics.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you have a question, Christina?
Yeah, so say like we have an item that we request, right, and we fill out the form for it, but the breakdown, maybe like we miss a couple of things, but we still get money allocated for it. Can we still use the money for stuff that we didn't list in the breakdown if it applies? Like baking supplies? or
Yeah,
something?
if it's baking supplies, that's fine. Like, your budget will only say baking supplies, and when I'm signing off on reimbursements and stuff, I'll see like, oh, okay, she bought 12 cupcake tins. Like, that would qualify under baking supplies, so I wouldn't. As long as it's within our policy series, I would probably approve it, so.
But if it was something more separate, like say you were going to a conference and then you had travel and like hotels, you couldn't like use travel money on hotels or like hotel money on travel.
Mhm.
So it depends on like the event and like how it's broken down. But if it's just like general supplies, then you'll be fine.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, so I'm with the yoga club, and what we do is we have like our meetings, and then we have our outside instructor that we pay for. I just want to know I feel like taking some time of event and how we pay for the instructor, would we have to list each practice date, or would we just do like the number of practices that semester?
So for that, we would actually consider that like a coach's fee. So you wouldn't have to list like all the dates and the times. You would just say like in the description, you would just say like it's like our instructor fee / coach's fee that we need in order to function. And then our general coach's fee is $1,250, so it's $1,150 per semester. So you would just put that, and then like either an email from your coach or like what is that thing called from the rec center?
The actual contract that the fitness center gives to the coach.
So that's all we need to see. You don't need to like list everything.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Okay.
Okay, yeah, again, about quotes, so we need to see the market value of what you're requesting in order to substantiate it, because we're held accountable by the university, and if we fund something that isn't actually there, that's irresponsible, so.
Okay. So this is for weekly appropriations meetings. If you would like to sign up, so it's on Get Involved HU, and this is what it looks like now. So then you would just go and you would click on this, and it will take you to like a little form, and it's your name, your club name, your 700 number, and then your email address. It fills up pretty quickly. Like sometimes it's down to the millisecond, like which club is first. So I suggest that you type very, very fast, and no more than 2 people can sign up for one club. They go up every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. on the weeks that like we're going to have meetings. So this Wednesday it'll come up the week before the meeting. So next Tuesday we have a meeting. So there was a sign up this morning, and next Wednesday there will be a meeting for the next Tuesday. And then if you get a spot, you will receive an email from me. You also receive an email if you don't get a spot, and if you don't get one the first time you sign up, you should definitely try and sign up again for another one a week later.
All right, so what happens at an appropriations meeting? So clubs are seen in the order that they sign up on Get Involved HU, so you'll get the confirmation email with the breakdown, so 1 through 5 of clubs, so that might give you an idea of what time to show up, but not really because some clubs take longer than others. You'll need to pass around 7 budget proposals to the committee because it's Aaron and me and the rest of the senators, and 1 for yourself. Right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so 1 for yourself if you want to reference. You don't need to print 1 for yourself, obviously, if you wrote the proposal and understand what's going on. But yeah, 7 would be good. You'll have a chance to explain the budget proposal to the committee. So Although you do provide a description in your proposal, we would also like you to tell us exactly what's going on. And again, the committee will ask questions before you step out of the room. So if we have any questions about, I don't know, a quote on the proposal, or if, again, the proposal is in priority order based on the items that you want, stuff like that, not any crazy kind of question. So then we'll ask you to step out. The committee will debate and will vote on a number for your proposal. And then you'll be called back in to hear the results of the vote.
Yes, so the one thing that we hear a lot about weekly meetings is that like people are terrified, they've never been to one, is it formal, is it scary? It's really not. It's like we said, it's Gabby and I and 5 senators, and they're all very nice, and we all sit there and like, we're really interested in what you have to say. Like, we set out this time every week for you guys, so don't be intimidated, don't be scared. It's really not a big deal. We don't ask, like Gabby said, we don't ask like probing questions like why do we need to have this event. We'll just be like, oh, is this in priority order? Or like, is this quote go with this? Like, it's just general questions. And you know, we usually try and be pretty friendly because we're kind of happy to see you.
Yeah.
So this kind of goes off of that, like what are the common questions that we hear? So what do you need to put in your budget proposal? So we already went over the forms, and then you also need quotes for every single thing that you're asking for. We have a budget book up in our office, which is Student Center, room 242, if you'd like to see examples. I also have like a mock-up budget if you would also like to see examples, and I can email to you. And then where can I find help? You can always contact myself or Gabby, and these are our emails. This is my email, and this one is Gabby's email. And there's no dress code. We kind of just like, whatever you're wearing that day is fine. I don't care. So how long does the meeting take? It depends where your club is on the list. If you're the first club and you're asking for just t-shirts, you'll probably be in and out in like, I don't know, not that long. Now, if you're like the fourth club and you're asking for like 10 different things, it's gonna take us a while to get through each individual item. So it really depends on like where you are and what you're asking for and on what everyone else around you is asking for. But most of the time we're usually out by 9 or 9:30 at the latest. So if you're the last club, that might be like the absolute latest that you'll be there. So if you're ever wondering like how long you think it's gonna take, you can always email me and I can see like, try and guess what time you should show up to the office to give you a little bit of help with that. If you don't get allocated for something that you guys really, really need, I definitely suggest that you email Gabby or I so we can sit down and talk to you and figure out like how we can help, or like, what happened, or like ways that we can help improve and see if we can help you guys in any way. And then how many meetings can you attend? You can attend 2 a semester, but not consecutively. So you can come 1 week, but not the next week, but the week after. Or you can come like the first meeting and then the last meeting. They just can't be back to back.
All right, so after the appropriations meeting, Erin will send you an email confirmation after Senate. So although the allocations do pass through the Appropriations Committee, we have to pass them as a Senate body. So the 40 people in Senate will pass the allocations on Thursday night. So again, Erin will send an email confirmation saying that they did pass through Senate. Normally it's not a big deal. They just look at our minutes and say, good job, moving on. So that's nothing to worry about. And then I will send an email to Mike Devlin, so he's the head of, he's like the coordinator of information systems in the Division of Student Affairs, and he will automatically push the allocations. So basically what I'm saying is that if Erin doesn't email you saying that there was a problem Thursday night, then just the funds will be in your account on Friday, if that makes sense. So yeah, Friday when the money is available, you can contact your OSLE or Fitness Center advisor. If any of you guys have questions on who your advisor might be, you can definitely come talk to us after the meeting. But yeah, you can go talk to them and ask them about accessing funds and stuff like that. And for example, like if you're going to a conference within the next week and you need a check to be cut to nationals for this organization, definitely talk to your advisor so you can start the reimbursement paperwork and the check requisitions and stuff like that.
If you're looking for steps for reimbursement, it's also in our treasurer packet, which I will send out later today to everyone who put their email in, and if you didn't, you can come up afterwards. But if you are looking for like the steps for reimbursement through OSLE, there's a section in the treasurer packet that like goes over like what you could be asking for and then the different steps that you need to go through and like who to talk to and everything. So that's just like a general guide to help you out. Okay, so when and what is budget weekend? It's a time where all undergraduate student-run organizations have the opportunity to submit a budget for the following semester. So like I said, this semester you will submit one for spring 2017. This weekend, this year, this semester, budget proposals are due by Wednesday, November 2nd, 11:59 p.m. If it's 12 a.m., if it's 12:01 a.m., I can't see it. So you can submit it anytime between now and 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday, November 2nd. When you submit it, it has to be in one PDF document and it has to be sent to SGA_budgets. Not my email, not Gabby's email, the budget's email. Because we get a lot of emails separately, so like I don't want to risk missing one, so that's why we have this one just set up for that. I highly recommend that you write down this date because it's very important if you are planning to submit a budget for next semester. Also on this date this year, I didn't put it on the slide, but we have a budget review event, so a lot of clubs come up to us, you know, the couple days before spring, and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing for my budget. So that morning during Common Hour, we are going to be in the SGA office, Student Center, room 242. It'll be Gabby, myself, the whole committee, and we'll be sitting there. We'll be able to answer any questions. We'll have food. You can bring your budget, and we can like look through it before you officially submit it. So there's that. And then, like Gabby said earlier, it's highly recommended that you submit a budget during this time because we allocate 80 to 87 or 85% of all of the funding we have available at that point. And then the other 20 to 25% is saved for weekly meetings. Good question. Yes.
I just didn't catch what you said before. What day is it that we can go and show your budget?
So it's Wednesday, November 2nd at Common Hour.
Oh, you're doing okay.
Yes, so it's like a little last minute, but we found that like a lot of clubs do their budget last minute, which is perfectly fine because we're all college students and I completely understand. I would do it too. So it's just like if you're scrambling at the last minute, like there will be that hour break, or you can also always email Gabby and we can help you.
Yeah, and I just want to mention one thing. So when you're allocated funds during budget weekend, those funds don't actually go into your account until the first day of the academic semester next semester. So if the first day of the academic semester is January 29th, 2017, that's when you will have access to those funds. You can't start accessing them once you have the confirmation email.
Yeah. Okay, so how does budget weekend and / budget appeals work? So we spend an entire weekend reviewing all the proposals that are sent in. So that's anywhere between like 100 and 130 different proposals. And we spend like 36 hours over one weekend looking through every single proposal and trying to fund as much as we can everywhere. And then when we are finally done and we get everything organized and we write our emails, you will be sent an email. And I don't know, the dates are in the treasurer packet. I don't remember what date I'm sending out the emails, but it's in the treasurer packet. And you will have like a whole explanation of why we funded the way we did and the amount that you will have available for next semester. As soon as you receive your email, appeals begin. And you will appeal by emailing me or like replying to the budget email and saying, I would like to appeal for this thing because of this, and then I will like respond back to you. If you can't just say like I would like to appeal, I would like to know like what you're appealing for so I can tell you whether or not it's like a valid appeal and it's something that like you can actually come for. The deadline date is the Friday, so I believe I'm sending them out the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and then the deadline will be Friday night at midnight. So you have 2 days to appeal. If you send it to me on Saturday, if you send me Friday at 12:01, it will not be seen. And then signing up for an appeal. So what that is it will give you a chance to come up and stand in front of Senate during our budget appeals meeting and explain why you'd like an appeal and any additional funds you're requesting. So before it was just the committee of 7 people making this decision, and then you will come personally in front of Senate and 40 people and convince those 40 people why you think you need these extra funds that we didn't fund, or like what happened or why you weren't funded them and why you really need them.
And just to say something about budget appeals, so like Erin said, she like briefly alluded, to this. So some appeals are not valid. So for example, if you are missing a quote in your proposal and you're like, oh, I just forgot to add it in, can I just put it in now and then appeal? No, you can't do that. So you can only appeal what you submitted, so your original copy. So, for example, what a valid appeal would be if we were super delirious and we missed one of your quotes, and in our explanation we said that you didn't have one, but you actually did, and you can show us this on the original budget proposal, then that would be a valid appeal for you to come for. Or, for example, we didn't give you enough to function for the semester, or we didn't fund you enough conference fees, even though it didn't exceed the maximum. That is definitely something you could come for.
So that's what Gabby said. It's mostly for mistakes because like we're 7 college students sitting in a room all weekend. Sometimes we're there till 2, 3 a.m. So I can't promise that we're gonna be 100% accurate all the time. We do our best, but sometimes like we miss something. Sometimes we'll be so tired we'll be like, oh, there's not a quote, like we can't fund it, but there is a quote. So we ask you to, check, make sure that you do have quotes for everything. Definitely read the email, look at the reasoning for why we did something. It says you didn't have a quote, but you did, or take our reasoning with a grain of salt. Like understand that that's why we take the time to do it. And then the last thing that we really ask you to keep in mind is that we give out as much as possible during budget weekend, so we have very, very little for appeals. So if you think that you can wait, so say you didn't get funded t-shirts, but you really want those t-shirts, do you really need them at appeals, or could you try coming next semester in a weekly meeting for something small like t-shirts, as opposed to it's something that you desperately need to function, and we didn't fund it because say we didn't know that it was so we didn't get the buy from your budget that it was like so necessary. That would be something that would make more sense to appeal as opposed to just like t-shirts.
And I just want to say one last thing. So budget weekend is not first come, first serve. Weekly appropriation meetings are first come, first serve. So we have a certain amount at the beginning of weekly meetings, and we have 8 meetings throughout the semester, and we are at 0. But budget weekend, we have this certain amount, and we first go through and allocate as fairly as possible to all clubs, and normally we'll actually go into the red. So we'll go into negative amounts, and then we'll go back and cut as fairly as possible. So again, just because you weren't allocated something at a weekly meeting because we didn't have enough, we will try our best. We will try our best during a budget weekend.
And also don't think that we usually start by category, so if we start with academic and then club sports is last, don't think that academic clubs are automatically going to get more than club sports. And we try to do it fairly based off of each category and each club's needs. And we don't, it's definitely not like the first club we look at gets the most, and the last club we look at gets $2. Okay, so how do we decide to fund during budget weekend? The first thing that we do is we look at policy. We look at, was the budget submitted on time? Because if it wasn't, then we can't see it. Are the correct forms filled out? Is there a description provided? Because we desperately need the description. You could be a little more lax with it during weekly meetings because you're there to explain to us my club needs this. But during budget weekend, we don't have you there with us. We can't email you or text you or call you. We have to go based off of what your proposal is. So you desperately need that description so that we know why it's important. If you guys want cupcakes and you just ask for cupcakes, I don't know why you need cupcakes. Is the club just eating cupcakes during a break, or are you fundraising? Is it for charity? What are you doing with those cupcakes? And then what is the maximum that we could fund according to policy? In the treasure packet, it lists our whole policy series and everything we can and cannot fund for, and then it also has our common policies. So I would suggest you look through that and see how much we can fund maximum, and there are maximum are some common maximum policies that we have later on that we can go through. Yes.
I was just wondering if you could forward this PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, I could. Absolutely. I can do that as well. I may have to send it as a separate email. It's a really big document, but yeah, I can do that. Step 2. Does this event or item fulfill the club's purpose? So I always like to say, if the rock climbing club wants to go bowling and the bowling club wants to go on a camping trip, how does that fulfill their separate purposes? How does bowling fulfill the rock climbing club's purpose? It doesn't. And how does going on a camping trip fulfill the bowling club's purpose? It doesn't. So we ask that you request events that fit with your club. Something that is particular to your club that other people could benefit from, that only your club specifically could do. So for instance, the yoga club, I highly doubt you guys are gonna hold a fashion show like ASA does, because that just doesn't make sense. Versus like, I don't think ASA is gonna do a yoga night because like that would be for the yoga club. And then step 3, we look at necessity. So we don't fund based off, we fund based off of function. Like, can you function? How best can we help you to function? Not, not anything extra, but like what is the most that we can do at this time to make sure that you can get through the semester and have successful events and be a great club. And then we always ask that you put it in priority order, because sometimes like our definition of what could be like really important to you guys isn't your definition. Sometimes like, we think that conference is more important than t-shirts, but sometimes you desperately want those t-shirts and like you need those t-shirts because you want to be a presence on campus more than you want to go to this conference. So we really need to know that, and then you're on like the main budget sheet, your table of contents. If you want t-shirts first, put t-shirts and then everything else. Like put it in the order that you want it, because we try to find your priority items first because we believe that those are your most important. And this is what we talked about earlier. If we go through all the proposals, equally. At the end, we sometimes go in the red, and then we will go back and cut from the beginning and like try to cut as fairly as possible. So we're not like favoring one club over the other.
Okay, so most common policy cuts. For t-shirts, in our policy series, it says we can only fund a maximum of $250 per year. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that policy. For hotels, we can fund a maximum of $100 per room per night. For recruitment, we can fund a maximum of $150 per year, whether that's recruitment items like lanyards, pens, pencils, erasers, I don't know, or food for a recruiting event. We can fund a maximum of 8 conference registration fees per year across 3 different conferences. So for example, if you want 2 people to go to one conference, 2 people to go to another conference, and then 3 people to go to another conference, that would be fine, but we can only fund 8 maximum, if that makes sense. And then we fund, like in terms of travel reimbursement, a 300-mile radius of New York City and 0.54 cents per mile. So that's actually the federal IRS reimbursement rate. So again, if you like go work in the real world and you drive somewhere, that is exactly the rate that they would reimburse you by also. Yeah, it's set per year. So for 2016, it's 0.54. Last year was 0.575. So for your budget weekend proposals, then I don't think the number will be out yet. But I will have to sign off on the amount that the current year rate, if that makes sense. But yeah.
Okay, so this is a list of like a lot of other policies we have. They're all in the treasurer packet, but I'll just go through a couple of them. One we see often, we don't allocate for shipping and handling fees or any extra charges like tax. So when you're submitting your proposal, make sure you take those out. I mean, if you don't, that's fine, but we will not be funding for that anyway. So just keep that in mind. If you're asking for anything over $300, you need 3 quotes. So if you are asking for, like filming equipment because, you're Hofstra Filmmakers Club and the equipment you're asking for is over $300, we want to see like 3 different quotes, one from like Amazon, one from Best Buy, and then another one from like Staples. That way we can see 3 different options, and we'll always go by the cheapest one. So if it's like $301, $302, $303, we're going to find the $301 one. We also need 3 quotes for hotels from like 3 different hotels, just so that we have a range and we know that you've looked at like a bunch of different places around you. And then we always need 1 quote minimum. If you are, require proof of events. So if you are going on a camping trip, if you are going to a museum trip, if you are going to a game, if you're going to a conference, we need proof that these are happening. So whether that's a flyer, an email confirmation from like somebody who's very official, who like runs the conference, or the team coach for another opposing team, we need proof that it's happening. If you're going to a museum, just like a screenshot of the hours, or if it's like a specific exhibit and like the date it runs. We just need to know that it's happening and that you're going to it, and then we're not just funding like for you to like go off in the city. I don't believe you will, but like we need to be held accountable, so that's just the one thing that we ask. And if you're going anywhere, you have proof of the event. We can't fund donations, so if speakers are coming, they need a speaker fee. They can't be like, oh, I have a suggested donation of $300. We can't do that. So it needs to be, my speaker fee is $300. Are there any non-SGA recognized clubs here? I think you're, yeah, okay. So you have access to 5% of the budget that we have, and so that would be for campus-wide events only. So you're in Sigma, Hofstra, right? Okay, I'm sorry. So you're in Hofstra. So like if Hofstra was putting on a concert, and you really wanted a lot of people to be there, and you wanted to request funding for, I don't know, like safe food, you could submit your budget, and it would be up to the committee's discretion to say whether or not we think it is a campus-wide event, and that depends a lot on your description and like how you're going to advertise it and make it sound. So we always encourage you to submit a budget because we like to include non-SGA recognized clubs too, because you guys also put on like really awesome events. Let's see, if you don't have proof of storage, we can only fund up to $100. So if you're a sports club team and you don't have proof of storage, we can't fund you. We can only fund you up to $100 for your equipment. So you need somewhere to store your stuff. If you're asking for equipment or like physical things, or like the cooking club asks for like a lot in cooking equipment, they need a place to store it. Otherwise we can't. We can only fund up to a maximum of $100, and that's just to like make sure that what we fund is being kept safe, because we're also we're held responsible for that type of thing, and we can't, like, if you're like, oh, my pot broke because it like spontaneously caught on fire in my roommate's room, you can't come and ask for another one because we like just funded you one. So we just want to make sure that you get the most use out of what you request, and that you have it for as long as possible for you guys to keep using, for future club members to keep using. Yes.
Is that like one $100 item, or if you spend $100?
It could be either. So alright, so say you're buying a camera that's like $100, like that would be one item. But say you're asking for like different cooking supplies, and like one pot is $50, and then you've got like a pan that's like $20. It's like, so it's a maximum of $100, whether it's for one item or like multiple items that add up to $100. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last one, for coaches, it's a maximum of $2,500 a year, and then we do it per semester, so it's $1,250 per semester.